Welcome back. Operation Epic Fury intensifying on this, day 6 of this war. The U.S. taking out Iran's top naval ship as Israel launches more strikes across the region. Fox News chief foreign correspondent Trey Yingst is in Tel Aviv this morning with more. Trey.
Hey, Maria, good morning. A senior Israeli official telling Fox News today the Iranian regime is having trouble communicating and coordinating as these strikes against their country continue. And they are going after what the Israelis call the mechanism of repression, the individuals and structures who went after protesters earlier this year in the streets of their country, killing more than 32,000, according to President Trump. And as we move forward here, we're learning some more information, and we're getting some new video of an air fight yesterday, a dogfight over the skies of Iran, where the Israelis say their F-35 fighter jet shot down an Iranian plane, the first air combat kill for the Israelis since the 1980s. All of this taking place as the Iranians are still launching. And Maria, we're just getting an alert here on our phones, and it means in the next 10 minutes or so, there's going to be incoming ballistic missile fire toward this country. Those are the alerts that go out on phones, and that's why you hear that buzz. People then go to shelters, and they will stay there until they get the all clear from the Army. We've seen a lot of this incoming missile fire overnight. There were 3 separate alarms, another one this morning, and again, one just coming in right now. In the next 10, possibly 15 minutes, likely sirens here in the second largest city of Tel Aviv. U.S. Central Command is also helping the Israelis to take out some of these launching positions. They released some new video overnight showing those efforts. The Israelis are looking east, but they're also looking north at the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. They are striking Hezbollah very hard in the Dakhia neighborhood of Beirut, a Hezbollah stronghold. The Iranian regime continuing to use their proxies and also their ballistic missile program to target civilians across the region. And Iran's foreign minister following that news yesterday that a U.S. torpedo took down a frigate off the coast of Sri Lanka. The foreign minister saying in a post to X, "Mark my words, the U.S. will come to bitterly regret precedent it has set." U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says it's the Iranians who will come to regret what they have done, and they are continuing their attacks again against U.S. forces across the region. Maria?
Trey, how often are you getting those alarms on your phone, Trey, every day? How many times a day?
Since the middle of the night, that's the 5th alert that we've gotten, and there are still firing missiles. According to the Pentagon, the threat is down 86% from the first day of the war. But this is a country that was building itself for a conflict like we're seeing right now. And so they have a lot of launchers that haven't yet been hit. But the Americans and the Israelis say they will continue to go after this threat. Also, Israel has lifted some guidelines for the civilian population here, indicating they don't think these barrages are going to be as large and as deadly as they were over the weekend.
All
Maria?
right. Trey, please stay safe. Thanks very much. Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv this morning. Joining me now is former Trump State Department senior advisor Christian Whiton. Christian, thanks for being here. Weigh in here, your reaction to the latest developments in Iran.
Yeah, well, I think it's going very well for the United States and very well for President Trump politically. As Trey just implied, the Iranians are still shooting and doing what they can, targeting not just Israel, but almost every single country in the region, including nominal Iranian, if not allies, sort of well-wishers like Turkey, which has been very unhelpful to the United States and very antagonistic to Israel. Yesterday, Iran lobbed a ballistic missile that a U.S. warship shot down on its way to Turkey. So you have what looks like, frankly, an Iranian regime that's trying to go out in a blaze of glory, if you will, shooting everything it has, perhaps knowing that it doesn't have a lot longer to govern.
Yeah, and we heard that yesterday from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth in the briefing on Operation Epic Fury with the Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman, General Dan Kane. Hegseth said the U.S. is just getting started with Iran. Watch this.
America is winning. Decisively, devastatingly, and without mercy. The 2 most powerful air forces in the world will have complete control of Iranian skies, uncontested airspace. We will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding, fixing, and finishing the missiles and defense industrial base of the Iranian military, finding and fixing their leaders and their military leaders. Every minute of every day until we decide it's over. And Iran will be able to do nothing about it.
And Christian, we've got new information this morning because China is sending a special envoy on Middle Eastern affairs to the region. They claim they're conducting mediation efforts. The war now spreading into other Gulf countries, threatening global stability and energy supply. And Beijing is condemning the attacks, even though we know that China basically armed Iran with advanced missiles and Chinese components, the guidance systems, the propellant chemistry. Tell us about that, because it appears that this is also a very important message to China.
Yeah, well, it's sort of sad. I mean, the only people more pointless than China in this are perhaps the Europeans. But think of it, if you're in Iran, you're exporting something like 60 to 80% of your oil. Much of it illicitly is going to China. It makes up 12% of Chinese energy imports or oil inputs. You bought much of your air defense system from China. These are your buddies, and you're expecting them and the Russians to come to your aid if evil Uncle Sam attacks. And what do? They send a special envoy who's, I don't know what he's even going to do. China's in a very bad spot because of this. Their economy was already faltering. Now they just announced a growth target of 4.5 to 5%. They won't even make that. That's the lowest growth target for China since 1991. Xi Jinping is under a lot of pressure. And, it's just proof that if you're friends with the United States, like the Gulf countries are, the Emiratis, the Saudis, and others, then good things tend to happen. And if you're friends with Russia and China, they really can't help you when the United States is determined to defend its own interests.
Yeah, I mean, China is now claiming that it's having to rely more on Russian oil due to the massive supply disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, China buys up to 80% of Iranian oil. I'm with Mark Tepper this morning. And Mark, right before this conflict broke out, don't forget what China was doing, not just to the United States, but to the world. And that is trying to hold back critical minerals that the U.S. needed.
Yes.
Now, it's got to wonder if, in fact, it's going to get the critical oil that it needs.
Exactly. And this just really reinforces, Christian, from my standpoint, it reinforces the importance of energy independence as it relates to the U.S. Whether it's oil, whether it is those rare earth minerals, whether it's natural gas, nuclear, whatever it might be, those are important. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think so. That's very much the case. It's clear we can't rely on our adversaries, and that because of fragile supply chains, we really shouldn't rely on anyone outside of the United States. With oil, there is basically a world price of oil, which is adjusted for quality and transportation. But we have seen oil prices go up, not nearly as much as the naysayers said. They've gone up a little bit more than 10% since the conflict started, and AAA reports that gasoline prices up about 25 cents from a week ago. So we are seeing some effect in the United States despite our relatively excellent energy position. Also, I think you saw Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent yesterday say basically the Strait of Hormuz will be reopened. He didn't use those exact words, but the United States will provide the insurance companies the comfort they need, perhaps with naval escorts, to get energy flowing through the Strait.
Yes, a very important development, which President Trump is leading right now. Christian, good to see you. Christian Whiton joining us. We'll be right back. Stay with us.